let's go over the supplies we need to make our planter. You are going to need a broken shovel. So sad. You're going to need some wire. This is chicken wire. I'm using chicken wire, but really any, this is pretty flexible, very easy to bend. So you can use something other than chicken wire as long as it's flexible and easy for you to bend and cut. There's a product called hardware cloth that is really hard to cut through, and it's not very bendable, so I would not suggest that. But chicken wire is cheap, and you can get a small section of it, a roll of it. It has a lot of uses, so you might find other uses for this. We're going to need some hand tools. I have a variety of hand tools. I have a pair of wire cutters. I like these because they have spring, they spring open and closed, and they're comfortable in my hand, and they were relatively cheap. I got them from my local hardware store. They're store brand, so they were pretty cheap. You don't have to buy Craftsman or any other, big name brand. Needle nose pliers, always good to have a nice pair on hand for DIY projects. These are I think these are called lockjaw pliers. I use these a lot. They're great for gripping. If you need to grip something, because they have teeth here, they're great for that. And last, I'm using a pair of tin snips. These are called tin snips. And I'm going to use that to cut the wire. They're like big giant scissors, but for wire. So they're pretty cool. And metal. You don't have to have those. You can use just your regular wire cutters to cut the chicken wire, okay? So that's all you need there. This is steel wire, galvanized wire. This is 19 gauge wire. And we will be attaching our chicken wire to the shovel with this wire. You could use some lighter gauge wire. It probably won't hold up as well outside as something like this. I like this 19 gauge because it's bendy, it's flexible, it's easy to bend with your fingers and twist. So I would suggest this. And if you get this, you'll find all kinds of uses for it. It will not sit around. The next thing we're going to need is a drill. We are using power tools, people. With a drill bit, obviously. What we'll do is we will drill holes into the shovel to attach our wire, our chicken wire with our wire. And so we need to drill holes in that. And drilling holes in the shovel is very easy. It's super easy. As far as drill bit size, it doesn't really matter as long as it makes a hole big enough for your wire to pass through. So that's the only requirement there. Then I have sphagnum moss. I have potting mix. I'm using a cactus and palm and citrus potting mix specifically for succulents because I'm using succulents. I have these here. This one got a little beat up, but they'll be okay. They'll bounce back just fine. This is not necessary, but I do keep this on hand and I use it a lot. This is a penetrating oil that I use when I'm drilling. Sometimes it's handy because it keeps the drill bit from heating up and making a horrible screeching noise when you're drilling holes. This actually is fairly soft, believe it or not. It's not like trying to drill into stainless steel. And then I have an old piece of scrap wood that you can see has a million holes in it because I've been using it forever to drill things into. And what we're going to do is we'll put this on here and we'll drill into it so we don't end up drilling into our table. And I'll show you in more detail, when we get to that stage, how that's going to work. And that's basically it. That is all the supplies you need. Your shovel can be, obviously has this taper here. But I have shovels that have a square blade. You could use one of those. That'll be fine. This is, a regular garden shovel. I have a much smaller one that I use for digging. So a little tiny shovel will be fine too if you want that to be your first project. So those are the things that you need. And so let's go and grab those and then we will get started.